Hello and welcome to PRL, the Performance Racing League. You are joined with myself, Lucas Aid, commentating today solo for round 4 in Tier 2 at Spa-Francorchamps. You join us as almost the entire grid is out on their outlap, preparing for what is going to be their first run. Now, we've had a lot of action so far this season, Tiger winning the previous race out at Japan, Suzuka. Dookie really stepping up his pace as well, I think with a P5 or 6. H, Ince and Craig are sort of the two title protagonists, with Norv and Canuck breathing down their necks. So let's see how they fare as we approach sort of the first runs. While we're waiting, let's just get the Tier 2 standings. Let's reacquaint ourselves. Right, who's actually first on track as well? Still with the boring bits. Let's get the track map ready. Only 2 cars in the pits. Wow. Right, so Dookie, Tiger, they're all very close to each other in fact. Let's go on board with H-Ins. I don't think we've been on board with him for the first run yet. Right, in the meantime, in terms of standings, seem a bit out of date. Here we go. So Aston Martin, which is formed of Northern Canuck and H-Ins, absolutely storming the constructors with a 52-point lead after only 3 events. That is dominant from them. But for the driver standings, Northern Canuck actually leads with that amazing consistency that he has, but only by 16 points over Baba Yaga, who'll be absolutely delighted, goes really under the radar. Very smooth and consistent. His performance in Japan was incredible, and he's definitely deserved that second place so far. Of course, still I think 8 more races to go, or 7 more races to go including this. And Craig in 3rd place, but only 18 points off. H-Ins is actually down 40 points from the leader, I believe. But that's only because of just a couple of spins. He's definitely got the pace to win. But anyway, let's tune back in. So H-Ins with a purple sector 1. 4th gear dives down the chicane. You don't want to run too wide there, so that you can then straight line this exit and up into 5th, right over the curb, just as you've seen there. Then you want to brake not too late here, but you do want to sort of roll the car and miss the apex. Then normally early up to 4th. You want to hit the outside, dip in, dip down to 4th, onto that curb again, up to 5th. Pretty much what you're seeing here is very standard lap in a good way. Then you normally dip down 1 gear, get that rotation, turn it through Puon, straight down, foot on the floor, run it onto the curb a little bit, but always avoid that inside curb. Then down to normally 4th gear through here. Some drivers elect for 5th, and then you maintain 5th in this case, all the way up to the outside. Now normally you drop down to 4th here, but again, yeah, going just into 4th. Slight lock up there, it's a little mistake, but otherwise a really tidy lap. You want to miss that inside curb and get full throttle ideally, unless you're running low wings. You know, it's different strategies here. If you're running super low wings for maximum straight line speed, you need to lift slightly there. Maybe not on softs in quali, but certainly in the race. And, you know, I bet you may see a couple of spins there, so watch out for that. But anyway, H is dipping down into the bus stop chicane. A much harder corner than it seems. You want to get a nice wide entry into that second bit to straight line the exit, and then do not turn the car left, keep the car narrow to that straight line, to that checkered flag even, and a 1:45.367 is the reward for H-Ins and a provisional pole. That was a good lap, and I could see easily 3 more attempts that he could gain just for a couple of lockups and slightly missing apexes, so an amazing banker lap there. Meanwhile, Camo Banana with a 1:45.627, that's a very solid lap, very solid indeed. I can't even remember what lap time I set, but I'm pretty sure that it was, I think it was like a 1, I think I got a little bit messed up with the timings on my run, but I think mine was like a 46 or something. For those that were available for the Tier 1 race, I hope you enjoyed that. From our side, from the driver's side, it was a really fun race. I think there was tons of action at the front, tons of action throughout the whole grid in fact. It was a really enjoyable race to participate in. Only 1 safety car, which actually really helped me, to be honest. But yeah, it's really fun, so if you haven't watched it, then check it out. All of the videos, all of the streams will be uploaded to YouTube throughout the week, normally on a Tuesday. But anyway, let's get back to the action here. So we're going to join Vinny Sips on his first flying lap. Vinny Sips, a driver that I think uses no assists. Dips down to 1st gear to rotate, straight into 3rd though, making sure he's got good traction on that downhill section towards Eau Rouge. Will he go flat in gear 8? That's the question. Answer's yes. Unless you're running really low wings, you can go flat out on soft tyres and quali trim. Look at that speed, 210 miles an hour peak, and a purple sector 1 is the reward for that. And there you go, seeing a good example of trying to keep it narrow to maximise the exit, and early into gear 5 is always the way to go. And then here, just running it slightly wide, a slightly narrower line, but early to gear 4 and really early to gear 5. But actually, that looks fast. It's not quite how I take it, but it looks really fast. Maintains gear 5 because he absolutely perfected that line through, I don't even know what that turn's called, but now through P1. Dips it down to 6 and then up to 7. I often do that. Runs it across. This is looking very good. Even is able to tuck that car in nice and tight to reduce the length of track. Just, you know, gaining hundredths of a second, which is what's really important. Early on gear 5, narrow on the track. Maybe he could have carried a little bit more speed. Slightly misses the apex. Similar mistake to HN's actually. But purple sector 2, this is looking phenomenal. Nice and early into gear 7. Full throttle, narrow across the track, trying to minimise the distance, as I said earlier. Now it's really just going to come down to what I would say is the most difficult corner, this bus stop chicane. You know, races really are won and lost here. So he does, braking at the 100-metre board, down into gear 1, runs it really nicely, just kisses that inside, and nice and early into gear 3 and 4, playing it very safe but very fast, and a 1:45.345 just pips HN's to pole. One of the best laps I've seen around here actually in quite a long time. Definitely better than my lap. And he now has 2 cars in the shape of, I think, Camo and Corby, who are now shaping up for their outlaps. Right, let's have a little look. Who is next? So, Noob is in Sector 3, and Craig is also in Sector 3, so let's follow Craig, see if he can respond, see how he responds. A 1:45.345, that's a beatable time. I think a 1:44.6 was set in Tier 1, but most people were actually around the 1:45, so the pace between Tier 1 and 2 I think was quite similar based on what I've seen here, which is very impressive. So Craig, very sensible through turn 1. Well done, hats off to that Ferrari, whoever that was. That was the Chaos Druid. Very, very good getting out of the way there. Full throttle through Eau Rouge. It's Eau Rouge and Radion, isn't it? Radion lap. Radion could actually be harder than Eau Rouge. I think people often get those two the wrong way round. It's Eau Rouge into Radion. And then the other tough corner, other than the bus stop, is Pouon, which we'll talk about shortly. I think for Craig, this is maybe a slight banker lap. Still looks very fast. See what you've seen there, so runs slightly too narrow, I would say, through the hairpin, and then just slightly compromise the exit, and then it means you've got to lift a bit earlier for the left-hander, the sweeping left-hander. Vinny's lap, by comparison, was a little bit smoother, but this is still looking very fast, very early on the throttle, keeping gear 7, so clearly confident in his setup. Maintains gear 5, that looked really fast. The lap is definitely getting better as it goes on. It's looking very fast now. Just going to read the chat. Hey Chaos, I'm doing very well, thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty happy after the Tier 1 race. I honestly think I couldn't have done anything more. I honestly think I extracted the absolute thousands of a second out of that car. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. The only thing that was slightly annoying was that a 1:44.9 absolutely aced the final sector. One of those laps where it doesn't even look too fast, but it's so smooth and comfortable, and he's just carrying crazy tons of speed. But definitely his Sector 1 wasn't that great, so his Sector 2 and 3 was so damn good, especially towards the end of Sector 2 where he was carrying crazy speed. I think, is that raindrops? Am I seeing raindrops? Ah. Alright, so it looks like there's rain now out on the track, and this is super bad news for pretty much anyone whose name is not Tiger, who just out of nowhere set a pole time. We're in the nick of time, and the worst thing for Craig now is he cannot respond. I mean, he's got enough time on the clock, but he's got to go into the pits, put on a new set of softs, and I can promise you that by the time he's done all of that and set an outlap, the track will be damp and it will be almost impossible to improve. Now for these drivers on the low, on the sort of the 46s, they're going to have to hope that the lap they're on right now is good. So Camo's gearing up for a lap, and yeah, he's aborting. This is bad news for a lot of the grid. Oh! Camo's slightly making a mistake on the entry. He will get away with that because it's qualifying, but hopefully that's a lesson learned as we approach the race. I saw a driver mess up. It's a common thing to do, actually. Very, very tight, narrow pit. You've got to go slowly and carefully through there. Right, H-In's gearing up for a hot lap. Is anyone actually on a hot lap? Chaos is on a hot lap, and Corky's shaping up. Okay, so we've got a few drivers going for it, but it's going to be tough. Ooh, it's going to be tough for Corky. Alright, let's follow Chaos Druid. Oh, no, he's bailed, DRS disabled. Yeah, honestly, in the nicest way, this is over. This session's over. We've got an Aston Martin that's spun because of the rain. DRS disabled because the stewards have determined that it's too dangerous to be going to go full out with the wing flap down. When we talk about DRS, for those that aren't familiar, DRS drag reduction system, if you look at the screen now where it says Cognizant, the sponsor, that flap, when you press a button at the line approaching here where it says DRS, that line there, you can open the wing and it gains you, I don't know the exact difference, depends on the track, but certainly it's enough speed to make overtakes happen. That's what it's intended for. So if you're within a second of the car behind at that line, at the activation line, which is a previous white line, then as we see H-In spin, he's taking it a little bit like a dry line, like a dry track through there. It's very tough. Back end just snaps on you around here in the wet. A very, very tough track in the wet. But you can see just how wet it's become. It's mental now. It's going to have to be sort of half revs, half throttle, early upshifts. You'll probably see that now. So, H-In's just playing it nice and safe. You'll see all the cars probably come into the pit, and we will just see out the remaining 4 minutes, really. Maybe some drivers may elect to do a time on the intermediates just to get a little bit familiar. So if we just enable that on the display, you can see Camo in the pits, but he has chosen inters, so if he chooses to go out, he'll be on those. But the rest of the grid are all just filtering in. So as it stands right now, Tiger has just pipped Craig to the post with a 1:44.8, a very fast time. We've got Vinny on a 1:45.3 in third place. That was a fantastic lap that we saw. And H-Ins, who definitely could have improved. I think he had a 1:45.0 or about a 1:44.9 easily in the bag from what I saw just on the first run. But he's kind of been a little bit shafted. He won't be able to improve. Just the timing of the rain just completely upset him there. Camo in fifth, really positive. Kev King, I think I've seen him once before. I'm not sure if he's a permanent driver, but doing really well, repping the McLaren team with a 5 and 6, which incidentally I think is where the McLarens finished in the Tier 1 race. Chaos is in 7th place, which I think he'll be quite happy about, but certainly the rain just completely ruined them. And thanks Chaos. So Kev's a reserve, repping the papaya orange today. And look how thin this pit entry is in the rain on soft tyres. That's a scary sight, to be honest. Sensibly, most of the drivers are engaging their pit limiter before the white line. So there's a bold white line, and if you're going over, I think, the equivalent of about 50 miles an hour when you pass that line, then you will get a penalty. A 5-second penalty, I believe. In qualifying, I think it's a warning, but in the race, do not speed in the pits. And I tell you what, when it's a tight pit lane like this and there's rain on the track, it's very easy to lock up and sort of aquaplane or slide across into the pit zone. Anyone that actually drives a normal car will have experienced that, I'm sure. Northern giving us a little bit of fun out there, otherwise we've got 2 minutes to talk about not a lot, so thanks Northern. So Chaos saying you can do a 1:45.4 in the chat. That would put you in 5th place, so 2 places ahead, so that's pretty positive there. So you can definitely challenge. Look at that understeer from Northern, had to completely bail out. I think even a little touch of brake. And it's such, honestly, the mentality you have to have in the rain, it's so different. The techniques you have to exhibit to be fast in the rain are very, very different. You have to shift up so early, take often quite different lines, often turn the car a bit earlier, be a lot more gentle on the throttle. It's very tough. It really does challenge drivers, especially those that are not using assists. Some of the drivers here use traction control, so if you're driving your road car, then if it's like a standard car, it's going to have traction control enabled 24/7. If you drive like a sort of a hot hatch or a sports car, you might find you can turn it off, but anyone that's ever kind of seen that traction control warning light come on, or they felt their front tyres kind of judder, or the car like brake for them, or lift off the throttle for them, they probably have, or you're probably seeing traction control in action. And it's the same here, so some of the drivers have traction control, but the good drivers, you could argue, it's an opinion, they don't have traction control. So everything is them. It's their right foot and their left foot and the steering wheel, and it's all on them, win or lose. Tiger, yeah, just going out on the inters of 144.8 on the softs he set, but he's just trying to get a feel. I'm going to quickly check Discord, just see what the forecast is looking like for the race. I'm just going to message because they've not told me, but that's fine. Just reading the Discord, the tier 2 Discord, so where the drivers communicate amongst themselves, and yeah, people not too happy about the inter tyres when the weather changing when it did. It really messed up a lot of people. So many drivers just about to start what would have been their second sort of soft tyre run, where they would have really nailed a good lap, and the rain just completely scuppered them. But that is the end of the session. As I explained, there will be no movement in this order, so Tiger takes pole position following a good race win last time out, so looking like a bit of a dark horse now, or maybe was a dark horse, now becoming a real front runner for this championship. Craig has done exactly what he needed though with a P2 in qualifying, to put pressure on HNs and Co to try and catch up, as well as Northern. I say HNs catching up, Craig's I think ahead of HNs, but either way they're kind of the two favourites, so he needs to just make sure he keeps himself ahead of HNs. So great job. Vinny with an amazing qualifying. I don't think he's always known for good qualifying laps, but very, very solid indeed, especially at the point in the track that he set that. It's very early. HNs P4, Camo Banana P5. Again, not actually on the inters. Let me just change this graphic to make it a bit clearer, because these were all on softs. Cam over 145.6. Kev King also 145.6 in 6th place. Chaos takes 7th, a little bit unlucky with the weather. Corky P8 also unlucky with the weather. Dookie P9 46.2. And then Northern, I think he'll be a bit disappointed with that actually, Northern in 10th. But again, I assume the weather played a big part there. But at least he got some inter running. Noob in 11th. Sinks Hero in 12th. I think improving actually race by race, so really, really good to see from him. Dutch in 13th, 146.7, and King Goose rounds off the qualifiers that have set times in 14th, 15th, and 16th, and 17th, which is Grayson, Baba Yaga, and Scallon. Ooh, well, Grayson and Baba Yaga elected not to set a time, probably because they stayed in the garage too long, and then the weather changed, and they realised, oh crap, it's too late now, can't set a time. You know, I normally go out early just in case, but I have been there before. And then Scallon with the unfortunate DNF. I didn't catch it on the stream, he'll be pleased to know, but I think he dropped the back end and flew up into a wall. And his reward for that is a last place finish. But the good news is the mechanics will fix that car up because it's a video game. Right, so well done to Tiger, well done to Craig, well done to Vinny. Nice clean qualifying session, didn't see anything naughty there. And good to see drivers, you know, trying out those inters, seeing what's going on. And if you just wait about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, you will be in for a pretty good treat, I reckon, as we approach the race for the Tier 2 Performance Racing League event. It's round 4, and we are at Spa. Thanks a lot. I'm just going to get myself a drink, and we'll be back. Oh, okay, so the race is starting in 20 seconds. That means someone has readied up early. And that means a very angry Tier 2 driver roster, who are... This happened, I think, the last 2 weeks. I will just quickly turn my heating off. I don't know why that's on. That is my bad. I'm very sorry to the planet. And get in the chair. Let's read Discord. Who did it? Who did it? Flying Grayson asking who did it in the chat, and I want to know who did it as well. And then some words that I cannot repeat on stream because of the fact that, you know, there are terms and conditions and so on. Community guidelines. You can probably guess the sort of words. They might start with the letter F. They might not. I reckon if anyone does it again, we should just remove them from the next race. You know, just ban them for a race. I don't know, maybe that's a bit harsh. What do people in the chat think? What do you think the penalty should be for readying up? Should it be increased? Should we ban drivers for doing it for a race? Should they get quali bans? Maybe a quali ban. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows the solution? Who knows? Right, let's have a little look at the tyre situation. Wow, very, very different to the Tier 1 race that went just before this. Only Corky and P8 and Sinks Hero have gone on the hard, along with Babiaga in 60. I'm shocked. I would have assumed that most drivers from 8th down would have gone hards. Hard tyre very good around here early on, I find. And if there's a safety car, you know, a few laps into the race, you can often go medium, or if it's later, you just go on to a medium anyway. Just eke it out, so it does normally work pretty well. Interesting. But there we go. The good news is we're going to probably have some really good battles, everyone on similar tyres. Hopefully Corky doesn't get too swallowed up. I think Hero and Scallon Babiaga definitely did the right thing. Just pick them off one by one. I mean, anyone that was tuned in for last week's race, they will understand what I'm saying. Babiaga, this is a strategy that he knows very well. It's also one I try to do. And it pays dividends. You know, you just go on the slow tyre first, just take it easy, don't get in any trouble. You know, make sure, let others make mistakes, and then when you're on the faster tyre at the end, you just push really hard and hopefully get a good result. Let's go back to Tiger. Quite a nice pacey, well, it was quite a pacey outlap. Slowing down a little bit now. Yeah, everyone is sort of entitled to do their own thing. You've just got to follow that car behind and not exceed a distance of, I think, 10 car lengths. That's all you've got to do. Let's see how his tyres are doing. Is that 80.79? It's not bad. Yeah, he's doing the right thing. That's a solid outlap, solid formation lap from Tiger so far. Hi PGS MYX, first time in the chat, welcome. And Aidan and Adam both did a fantastic job qualifying the Tier 1 race. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I just kind of skipped through just before I tuned in to sort of see some of the highlights, and they had a really good chemistry. They did a really good job. Anyone that missed it, definitely watch it on YouTube. I have a feeling it will be one of the best streams you've seen in a while. They will be commentating next week for the Tier 1 event, so don't miss it. 6:45 PM UK time next Sunday, as Tiger approaches his box, and that's a very solid stop there, just on that white line. Blooming Buttra, we don't really, I know it sounds awful, but yeah, that is basically spam. I don't know how to remove spam, to be honest, though. It's quite bad. I'm not a moderator. I think I'm a moderator, but I don't know. I'm not a very good Twitch person. Anyway, there we go. Everyone's lined up. Let's see how we do. And away we go. Craig with a very good start. Slightly better than Tiger, but Tiger's going to hold that inside line, and he's going to see it through down the inside. Now, H-Ins and Tiger both running very wide. Let's see how they do. Oh, and we've got contact there. So the McLaren's making a little bit of contact. That's going to really slow them down, and that should allow Corky to get a good run. It's Chaos, though, that's really benefited. So slowing up some of the drivers. He's now got that overspeed, and he gets the move done way before. Oh, and we've got Corky running very wide. I think pushed wide by the McLaren. We've got 4 abreast through Radion. Now we're going down this main straight. I think we're going to see 3 cars abreast here. This could be quite chaotic. A lot of movement going on. Everyone actually sensibly sort of tucking in, though. Tiger losing a place to Craig through all that chaos as well. Oh, as we see The Alpine of Corky almost making contact with Dookie, but I think they've now settled down. Good race start from Tier 2. A lot of action, but nothing crazy going on as we see a Red Bull running side by side, I think almost there in the background. They've sorted themselves out now. King Goose and Scanner, they're still going for it. Slide on floor with Dutch. Is he going to run it around the outside? Yes, he is. Oh! And he's exceeded track limits, so in theory he's going to have to give that place back. But it's a bit of a, you know, I think they're teammates. They can kind of do what they want. As we see Scallon run wide through Puon. I think my favourite corner. Not because of the name. Oh, Dookie's binned it! Binned it in one of the worst possible places, right in the gravel trap. And we see Scallon and Dutch side by side. Scallon's going to have to dive down the inside, but he's going to have to leave room. He's going to have to leave room. Sensibly, though, Dutch just backs out, doesn't want to fight. Oh, and Scallon dips his tyre onto that inside curb. The amount of times a car will fly off into the wall when you do that is insane. Do not hit that curb unless you really, really lift off, and you have to hit it. Oh, and Scallon understeering, might be a track limits almost there. Keeps it on the track. Craig, meanwhile, setting a fastest lap. Chaos Drew with a mistake out of the bus stop chicane, and Northern Caddock takes 5th place. And we're on lap 2 now. Dutch and Scallon still fighting it out. I think Scallon's made a bit of a mistake. No, he's in the pits. Maybe some damage. So who's gone in the pits? Just Scallon. May have had a bit of contact just as we flicked off to view the Chaos Northern overtake. Can't see it all, I'm afraid. Let's go back. Camo Banana now closing in on Corky. Lap 3 is when DRS, that thing I spoke about earlier with the rear wing, it's when that's enabled at the line you see that just went past. So if Camo can stay within a second by the start of lap 3, he will be in a very good place to get past. It's phenomenal the speed difference that you obtain with DRS, and you will see that very shortly. Chaos Druid now closing back in on Northern. This could be a really good battle here. I think he just made a slight mistake on the bus stop, but won't have any issues long term. Just kisses that curb, an interesting line. You can spin when you touch that curb. Now this one you want to do exactly what Chaos has done. Hit both curbs like that. Nice and sensible. 5 tenths behind. And this is my favourite corner, I think. Puon dips it down into 6th and then straight on the throttle, sorry. And the car just sticks. It's insane. It just seems to almost defy logic how you can go that fast around that corner. It's these ground effect cars, like the opposite of aeroplanes. Same concept, but pinning you down rather than keeping you up in the air. And it allows you to actually get more grip, more aerodynamic grip the faster you go. Oh, and Tiger's binned it! Tiger's binned it on the exit towards Sector 3. And everyone is going to get past him. And Craig is now going to have a much more comfortable time in the lead. Now 3 seconds ahead. So Tiger desperately pushing to get within that 1 second DRS zone. For lap 3, as I mentioned, he's getting swallowed up. His tyres are in real trouble and having to dive narrow because of King Goose, which was completely acceptable racing. Tiger put slightly too much on and he spun. However, I think his rear wing's okay, and it's only lap 2, so he can now go into the pit. As we see Camo dive into the pit as well with, I think, some damage. So Dutch and Vinny saying thank you very much. In the meantime, let's join Kev King. So this could be the first sight of DRS overtaking that we see. And not only that, Kev King with fantastic traction and speed for a Rouge. So now he's opening up that wing. H-In's going to defend for his life. And do you know what? It looks like H-In's might be running a very fast setup because Kev King did not catch up anywhere near as much as I expected. So I'm assuming H-In's running very low wings and Kev King running high wings. What that means is Kev King is prioritising downforce. So throughout the corners, his car's going to stick. So the low speed corners, his car's going to stick nicely to the ground. But when it comes to going in a straight line, the wings are essentially blocking more air. They're slowing him down. H-Ins will be the opposite. So he'll have very like a low wing number, which basically means he's prioritising straight line speed. But it'll struggle through corners like this. In fact, Puon, you can spin out if you've got wings that are too low. And Craig Dunn still just about maintaining that 3 second gap. Runs wide though there, a little bit of a mistake from Craig. Interestingly though, H-Ins hasn't closed in from that too much, still maintaining. And Kev King is doing the right thing. He's keeping his battery life healthy, keeping within DRS range, and it's just a matter of time, just putting some pressure on there. Noob as well closing in. I think we're in store for some good racing. Vinny within DRS range of Hero, and Tiger and Scallon and Camo have all pit, and they're looking pretty good. Right, let's go on board with Kev King. This has got to be it. So you want to get a nice, like, a slightly late turn in, dip it onto the curb, and then on the traction. Maybe not so much on that outside curb, but that's pretty much flawless from Kev King. Doing everything he needs to do. Now you've got to really be pretty confident here. You've got to try and keep full throttle, and then try and brake the toe a little bit of the car so you don't get too much dirty air. Go through there, and this is perfection, actually. What you're seeing is perfect racing. Is he going to go for the move? I think he might have to. 8-ins. He's going to have the inside. Kev King with a fantastic move. Leaves a lot of space. Fantastic there from Kev King. I think he did have to go for the move there. It was a little bit of a late dive, and 8-ins did respect it. But honestly, I think considering the setups at play here, Kev King had to go for that move, or he was just going to get stuck. Now, what I would imagine will happen here is Kev King will now drop 8-ins through Sector 2, which is a very technical section that really benefits a slower setup. Or I should say a higher wing setup. So yeah, 8-ins already now dropping out of DRS, being caught up by Northern, who probably has a similar setup to Kev King. So you can just see how much easier it is for the cars around 8-ins to catch him up and pass him and get ahead. It's just the straight lines where 8-ins will be rapid. So here you'd expect 8-ins to pull away a little bit. So right now it was 3 tenths, already up to 5. I'd expect that to increase. Now 8-ins needs to use battery, get himself back down to see. Look at that. Look at the overspeed he has. So he's now got way below 1 second over Kev King. As long as he masters this bus stop chicane, which again is very tough with the limited downforce he has, then he will now have a run at Kev King. So, oh, it's close, isn't it? Said, oh, let's have a look. I think he's got it. Yeah, he's got DRS, I want to say, assuming that's the line. Oh, right on the curb though. I think that might have ruined his attempt, but his strategy was perfect. He just messed up turn 1. But you can see what he's trying. So he's staying within DRS range, and I think even without even with this, like, you know, being 1 second behind, you're going to see just how much he closes in on Kev King, who is showing great pace actually, catching up to Kev. No, he just, yeah. So 8-in messing up. 8-in's messed up turn 1, and he just fell outside of that 1 second gap. So just a slight mistake, but the right idea. It's now allowed Northern to close in, who almost drops it on the first corner of that lovely chicane section. He's now fallen outside of DRS. So a few mistakes creeping in here in Tier 2. This is PRL, the Performance Racing League, and we're at round 4. This is Spa-Francorchamps. We're on lap 5 of 22. Chaos Druid and Corky have been within about a second throughout the whole race, keeping it clean. Chaos playing the long game. It's good to see sensible driving there, as you see him dropping down into gear 6 through Puon, getting that rotation early on the throttle, really nice there. Let's go back to Northern though. Can he get back to within a second? Kev King is absolutely flying the reserve, doing everything he needs to do, making the most of the setup. I think his setup is actually very similar to mine based on how I'm seeing him driving. He's making the most of it. 1.8 seconds ahead, and now for 8-ins, you know, even having the better straight line speed, I just don't think it's going to be enough, because you're going to lose so much time in Sector 2, you just can't make that deficit up. So it's really going to come down to mistakes and consistency. But as you see, Northern now right on the back of 8-ins, benefiting from the slipstream, and now the DRS as we approach turn 1. 8-ins will need to ace this. Much nicer, tucks it in beautifully onto the curb, and then just kisses the outside one. That was very smooth. Yeah, just slightly pulling away from Northern with that excellent turn 1. So Northern, I think, will get DRS, but I don't think it'll be enough. Let's stay on board though. Yeah, so rear wing opens that we spoke about earlier, and you can see 1.2 seconds, 1.1, only slightly falling down because of this setup difference. So for Northern, he's going to have to absolutely ace turn 1, and 8-ins might have to make a slight mistake on turn 1 in order for him to get past. And that is the real frustration actually with Spa and with the DRS system, and just, yeah, the way it all works. It's super tough to beat someone when they've got low wings, even if you're much quicker than them on other parts of the track. Noob with a 3-second corner cutting penalty. Not ideal. We're on lap 6 of 22. Wow, it's flying by. Let's see how Tiger's doing. Oh, Tiger's retired. Okay, I completely missed that. That's a shame. Hopefully You know, it was just one of those things. Made a little mistake earlier, but doing very well in the season as a whole. And yeah, we're very happy to see his pace and his evolution at PRL. This is tier 2, so it's technically the lowest tier, the slowest tier of drivers. But there's still some really good racing to be had. Oh, Corky's been... So there you go. I was speaking earlier about do not put your wheel on that curb there. Is that the section? Yeah. And often if you do that, you can unbalance the car. I think in the case of Corky, that may have been what happened. And then if you hit the barrier, you often will lose a front right wheel. And that is the end of your race, quite frankly, when that happens. And yeah, you can see him there as Scallon passes by if the car's not been removed. Yeah, I think the game's now removed it from the track, but you could see his front right was in a lot of pain. So unlucky to Corky, our first DNF through, I think, a mistake on track. And what we now have is a safety car, I believe. Let me just double check though, because it could be a virtual. Yeah, it's a safety car. The way to verify that, which I should have looked at earlier, is just go to the lead driver, and you can see that Aston Martin, that yellow dot on the mini-map, that is the safety car. So unfortunately for Craig King, who had set a nice little buffer, but was being eroded to though by Kev King, he is now, well, it doesn't matter anymore because all the drivers are going to bunch up. So by the time the safety car comes in, all the cars are going to be together. It's going to be quite an interesting restart, I reckon. Now what is interesting here is it's lap 7. So if you're on a medium tyre, you could pit, in theory. You could pit onto the hard tyre now. And you could see that hard tyre out to the end of the race, especially as there's going to be at least one more lap of the safety car, could be 2 more. But track position can be very important here, especially if you don't have a high speed setup on the straights, in which case you may want to stay out. So it really is a difficult one. In the case of the medium tyre runners, this is it's tough. If you're a medium tyre runner, you could say, yeah, I'll go on the hards. If you're already on the hard tyre, it's a bit more annoying, to be honest, because you could pit onto the mediums, but then getting a medium to the end will be very difficult. So you might have to do medium soft or medium medium. So I think this has probably benefited I would go out and say it's probably benefiting the medium runners. And you see H-Ins now on fresh hards that he will elect to use to the end of the race and in P6. So I'll go out on a limb and say that H-Ins is now my favourite to win the race so far, based on what we're seeing. Craig, the safety car did not come out at the right time. H-Ins, a little bit of luck, but made the most of it. An opportunist dive into the pits, and he is now in P6 on hards. Let's take a look at the fastest lap. So set by Camo right now, 1:49.2, but Craig 1:49.2.04, so only 0.02 of a second behind. Some good race pace actually set by a lot of these drivers. Looks like the hard tyres not quite as fast, a few tenths behind. H-Ins are 1:49.5. Solid pace. Oh no, that was on a medium actually, I take it back. So I think the true hard tyre runners were a lot slower, like Baba Yaga, 1:51.3. So you can see there's a pretty big time difference there between the medium and the hard around Spa. Spa's an interesting track because it's so variable. Certain sections, like I say, suit high speed, certain suit high downforce. So it's very hard to build a car that's actually good around here. And that's why most end up going for a high speed setup, just to play it safe and be able to defend on those straights. The alternative of going slow in the straights is very painful because you can get overtaken too easily by people. Right, let's go on to interval penalties. So chaos with 3 seconds. Quite frustrating because of course when there's a safety car it bunches the grid up, so that 3-second penalty becomes a lot more brutal. It increases your chances of losing places, of course. In terms of stops, so H-Ins and Noob probably the winners, having now stopped. Let's check their tyres as well. So yeah, they've stopped onto fresh. I think H-Ins going onto fresh hards, definitely the real winner, but even Noob on mediums, I think that's sensible because you're in P6 and you can probably do a medium soft run now, or medium medium. So it's very flexible. In terms of other drivers though, P1 to 4 not pitting, and probably Baba Yaga and Goose looking in a bit of pain. Not pitting P7 and 8, but everyone else around them has pit. So it's an interesting one. This is really going to make the race hard to call from a commentary perspective. There's going to be a lot of action because you've got people like Dookie again on mediums, but fresh mediums. I don't think you can run them to the end. I'm also pretty sure that Dookie started on a medium, so I think he's gone medium, medium, and then maybe soft. Yeah, all sorts of strategies at play. Anyone tuning in, feel free to comment. Kev King going onto the hards to run to the end. That seems to me like a good way to go. Hopefully, the grid is now bunched up, so we should expect the safety car to come in at the end of this lap, which is lap 8. But right now, let's look at the winners and losers just to finish this off. So a lot of shifting about, as is always the case at Spa, especially with a safety car. So Craig, sensibly up 1 place, just playing it safe, doing well. Hasn't pit though. Northern in P2, again, not pitting. Chaos in P3, as the safety car is announced. It will be coming in this lap. Awful grammar, we'll ignore that. Hero in 4th. H-Ins very, very sensibly onto the hards in P5, but maybe a P1 in terms of like true track position right now. Down 1 place though, but Sinks are up 8, well done. Noob up 5, Baba Yaga up 9. That's really impressive, but again hasn't pit, so it's all a bit kind of misleading. King Goose up 6, Camo down 4, Vinny down 7. Has he pit? Yeah, he's pit, so that's actually a really good result for him, very good. Dookie 11th, Dutch 12th, Scallon 13th, Kev King 14th, down 8 places for him, unfortunate, but has pit, I believe, yeah. And then Flying Grayson rounding off the grid right now. Anyway, let's go back to the front, because they should be launching. There we go, I've just slightly missed it, but Craig Dunn has launched off phenomenally well. Now, it looks like Northern got slightly caught out, just like I did on the comms, and Chaos has managed to close in on Northern. Right, let's follow this all the way down. This is looking really tasty. Looks like Scallon's made the move on Dutch, but let's leave that for now. Chaos, will he keep full throttle? His tyres might be cold. Oof! Runs wide. Sensibly kind of doesn't try to do too much with the car there. You could easily spin. Opens the battery though. Northern sensibly defends with that battery. When I say battery, I'm talking about ERS. And that can be seen on the graphic on the left. So 73% battery right now for Chaos. Runs a little bit wide through the chicane. That allows Northern to escape and H-In to close in. Sync Zero as well now with Noob for company on medium tyres. So if I just go to the tyre graphic, yeah, you'll see people all over the shop in terms of different tyres, different strategies. But a great restart from Tier 2 again, very clean. I didn't see anything wrong. This is looking really cool. The stewards will be happy. As I say that, Dutch gets a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings over corner cutting and track limits. Good pace from Noob, very much improving as the season goes on in PRL. The cool thing about Tier 2 is that you see a mix of drivers. You see some older drivers that don't put a lot of time into the game. You know, they've got family commitments and so on, and they do it for the fun of it, and you know, they're nice and clean and fun to watch. You've then got younger drivers who are new to the game, who want to get faster and faster and faster, and you see them sort of pushing through, and I'm sure you'll see a few of these drivers progressing into Tier 1 next season for sure. But it's a nice mixed grid, and it's normally a good atmosphere. It's a nice league, nice tier to follow. King Goose within a second of Baba Yaga. Otherwise, really, other than, well, in the top sort of 5, each driver has been pushing like crazy to break that 1 second DRS line, and it seems like they've managed it. Only Hero, who has Noob for company, is struggling. But then even Hero himself is doing a good job. I think Noob is just on rapid pace, you know, medium tyres, fresh medium tyres. Hero's in a little bit of trouble, really, if I'm honest with you. I think his race is he's gonna struggle towards the end when he pits. He's got to try and go as fast as possible, but it's going to be tough for him. Obviously, what Noob wants is an easy overtake. He does not want to get held up by a car on old hards. Oof, completely misses his braking point. No, that's not ideal, but I'm sure he'll recover it soon. What else do we have? Vinny Sips and Kev King. Wow, just on the back of that, just caught that in time. So Dookie and Kev King fighting it out with Vinny behind. Oh, Scalanos catching up onto the back of Vinny. And right on the back of that is Camo. It's all going on here. Look at this. So, you know, let's ignore the top half of the grid. Let's go down for P8. The fight for P8 is on. Fight for P7, really. Breaking the toe there. Look at this. I think DRS will be enabled in the next lap. Craig, 2.5 seconds ahead already. Chaos Druid closing in though. Really good pace from Chaos. He's improving his game a lot recently. A lot faster than when I last raced with him. Going and approaching this bus stop chicane. Kisses the first one. Kisses the second one. Rides on it a little bit too much, but sensibly backs out. Good exit though, as we see Craig Dunn go in the pits on 10 lap old mediums. What a shame. I mean, it was, as I said earlier, you know, I did call it during the safety car period. H-Ins is just in such a great position because Chaos and Northern, you know, they're going to fight it out and probably lose time, and on 10 lap old mediums they're going to have to pit within a lap's time. I just don't see an alternative. I think for Chaos, if he doesn't get the move done now, he'll probably pit. And H-Ins is just maintaining a very good gap on fresh hard tyres. Oh! The noob just got the move done, but let's follow. Oh! So much going on, I can barely keep track. Chaos Druid tries to go down the inside of Northern. Northern runs it around the outside though, maintains track position. Great defensive driving from Northern. But in the background, as I just managed to catch, Noob overtook Hero. So Noob really flying right now on fresh mediums, as you would expect. So Noob and H-Ins really looking like favourites. Fantastic driving from the pair of them. Everyone keeping it clean. Kev King now 5/10 off Baba Yaga, so falling down. Sorry, catching back up really well even on fresh hard tyres. So great recovery so far. Dookie just running off on Puon, just keeping it on the track though, running wide. Very impressed by the quality of racing so far. Craig Dunn all over the back of the Flying Grayson 08 on fresh hard tyres, and Flying Grayson says, you know what, I do not want to fight. I do not want to fight that, as Kev King on the outside, a very unusual place to get a move done so early, but on the outside goes around Baba Yaga on old hard tyres. He's going to have to pit pretty soon, maybe in 2 or 3 laps time. Now Northern Canuck dives into the pits. KL Druid also dives into the pits, so they are right behind each other. Let's hope they both get an equivalent sort of lap time. Sinks Hero now up into third place, but on old hard, so he'll probably pit this lap. Kev King and Baba Yaga electing not to pit. Let's follow Northern Canuck and Chaos. Okay, coming out in the exact same order. So Northern Canuck just ahead. Are they going to have anyone to fight on exit? Looks like they are. Okay, so Flying Grayson just getting out ahead, but hasn't pit yet on quite an odd strategy. Alright, here we go. Vinny Sips. There's too much going on here. Well, this is going to be an easy move, I'll be honest. So Vinny Sips with the wing open, and Dookie with a very flat battery. A very bad looking battery. He's been on a night out and he forgot to charge his phone before he left. And Vinny Sips is now up into 6th place over Dookie. Nothing pleases a driver more than seeing the flashing red lights. Those flashing red lights mean the battery level is 10% or lower, and that means that you have to harvest energy, which means your straight line speed will be compromised, and that is why Vinny so easily flew past Dookie there. Noob all over the back of H-Ins. He needs to get this move done if he is to have any shot at this race, because H-Ins can just drive very smoothly, very calmly, and take it home on these hards. Noob will not be able to make it to the end, in my opinion, on these mediums, so he's going to have to fly past H-Ins and then get onto that soft tyre, hope for a safety car really, and get the move done. But he needs to not open his battery. So if Noob is listening, or if anyone on this team is listening, he needs to just not use the battery. Get that thing back up to about 20%. It is not worth it, because you're just going to lose too much time in the straights. Just misses the apex, but it's not the end of the world. Good recovery. Very good recovery actually, and very smooth on the exit, so only loses a couple of attempts. Oh, Kev King! What's happened? Okay, Hero's gone into the box. Yeah, his tyre's very old. I'd expect Baba Yaga to pit as well. This is, I think, when you normally pit on the hard tyre, about lap 11. Sorry, lap 11, going on to lap 12, I can't speak. So Dookie flies past now. We're starting to see a more balanced race, but these medium runners on lap 6 hard tyres, I don't know if they're going to make it to the end. I mean, that's the big question mark right now. Anyone in the chat, maybe let us know if you think that these medium runners, Noob and Dookie, do you think they can make it? I think they won't, to be honest, but you never know. Oh, there's a safety car. Someone just binned it. Oh, wait, what's just happened? Oh, Chaos Druid's binned it. I completely missed that. I don't know how I missed it. Is it? Where is it? Around here? Oh, the car's been removed. I think it was pretty much where Craig was. How unexpected. Oh, what a shame. Chaos was doing really, really well, but I don't know what happened to him. Either way, safety car is now out. It's so hard to keep track of all these cars because they're so spaced out. But what that now means is Noob is in a good position, because he can now either be a madman and pit onto softs, or he can just pit onto the mediums, one more set of mediums I would say, and see them to the end. Or if he's been really conservative, he could just stay where he is but glide around on these mediums and try and eke them out. For H-ins, you know, he will just maintain track position, he won't pit, I don't think, and because he knows he can see these to the end. But it's going to be potentially tough if the drivers behind him start pitting, because then he'll end up on a very bad hard tyre by the end of the race and the others could be on an optimal medium. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see the strategies. I think Dutch will be quite happy. He's on 8 lap old hards, which is just really rubbish. I think it was caused from an earlier incident. So I'm pretty sure you'll see Dutch pit and a nice sort of recovery. As for the rest of the drivers, I mean, Scallon could pit. So Scallon could just pit onto a set of mediums now and, yeah, catch back up. So I think that's a no-brainer. So if Scallon's listening, I would say, pit onto the medium, mate, and get back out there, and you'll be able to challenge a lot of these hard runners. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how many of them do just immediately pit. I mean, even if I'd just gone onto the hards, I would honestly be considering just diving straight back into the pit. So Noob goes for the soft tyre. Wow. 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 Phenomenal. Chaos, thank you for the offer. Honestly, man, it's absolutely fine, because we're on lap 14. But, yeah, we'll do it another time, though. Commiserations about your race. Mate, can you message us in the chat? Let us know how you DNF'd, because honestly, I missed it. I didn't see what happened. But, yeah, commiserations. So Noob, 0 lap old on fresh soft tyres. That is ballsy. I wouldn't have done. I rate it. I can see it working. You know, as long as the safety car. Well, I think the safety car will come in this lap. But either way, this is really cool. Hopefully, he can just manage the deg. Either way, he's gonna have to make this pay. Right now, though, if he's got a medium and a bunch of hard tyres ahead of him, and like slightly old ones, he should. Him and H-ins should be able to sail past. And I think H-ins has done the right thing here. It's kind of weird, because I kind of thought that the drivers like Dutch and Vinny, they would have just pit. They've chosen not to. I think H-ins going onto medium, I just think he's going to win the race now. I mean, that's what I would have done. I would have gone onto the medium tyre, because it's just the perfect lap. You know, lap 14 out of 22. Going onto a medium is so strong. But I really, really rate this soft play. I think the soft play can work. It's going to be really, really interesting to see. Fair play for trying. But I think, yeah, it could be a confusing one for drivers, because when you've just gone onto a hard tyre, you think, why would I pit again? Because I'm on a fresh hard. But actually, when you consider how close together the grid is, you might as well just go onto the medium. But anyway, it's too late now. I would definitely stay out at this point. I think the safety car should come in this lap. It kind of comes down to, I think, Scallon. I think the game monitors the time difference between all of the cars. So if Scallon doesn't quite catch up enough, there might be one more lap. We're going to find out in a few seconds, though, so stay tuned. It's PRL, the Performance Racing League. We're here at round 4. We're at Spa-Francorchamps, and this is Tier 2. It's been a good race so far. A lot of alternate strategies. Safety car is in this lap. A very late call, so I think Scallon just closing up enough for the game to announce that. And that's good to see. I think Noob would have preferred another lap, if I'm honest, on the safety car. But he's going to have to make the most of this. It's going to be really fascinating to see. I really would stay tuned. It's going to be a very epic final 8 laps or so. Alright, how is Kev King going to launch? I think he needs to slow down a little bit. Just slow down a little bit more, mate. Has he mastered it? He might have got it okay. He might have. Yes, good launch. Perfected it there. Just bided his time. Waited for the safety car. It was very touch and go. The safety car just entered that pit line, that white line, and he was able to launch away. Great drive. Great recovery. Sorry, great recovery. Great restart by Kev King. Noob, though, with a mistake, I think it looks like, going into turn 1. So already not quite getting the most out of those softs. That's not what you want to see. Meanwhile, Craig Dunn on 4 lap old hards. He's got 3 cars ahead on significantly older hard tyres. Craig already making a move, it looks like, on Dutch. How is Dutch going to respond? Is Craig just going to pin it down the outside, or is he going to go for the undercut? No, he's going to fly it around the outside. Dutch does not want to get involved there, especially on the older tyres, and he lets Craig through. Really interesting, Kev, Vinny and Dutch. Do they think that they can run it to the end on these? I think they can. They definitely can, in fact. It's just how fast they're going to be at the end. I do fear for them a little bit. H-ins and Noob now. Yeah, look at that. Noob right on the back of H-ins already, despite making a mistake. Those soft tyres are rapid when they are fresh. But a bit of bad luck for Noob. He's probably stuck behind the worst possible driver. It's arguably the fastest driver, and on fresh medium tyres. So honestly, like, it's just really bad luck for Noob. It hasn't really worked out, I think, just because of that. So he's going to have to follow, I think, H-Ins through, as H-Ins makes his way through these slower cars, such as Dutch and probably Vinny and Kev King. I don't know. Here we go. Great exit from Noob. If he can get the move on H-Ins, it would be fantastic for his race. I think he needs to do it if he wants a good outcome. But H-Ins is saying, hell no, I'm making a move on Dutch. A very opportunistic, clever move, using a bit of battery, being sneaky. Now Noob needs to follow through here. He absolutely needs to get this move done by the end of Sector 1, in my opinion. Let's follow on board. Northern Canuck, though, doing well. I think Noob might have a slightly slower straight line speed. Good exit, though. Good exit from Noob on the softs. That's exactly what you've got to do. And now he's going to run all the way down into Eau Rouge and Radion. He's going to have to pin left. Full throttle. On the curb. Slightly touches Dutch. Gets away with it, but it will slow him down. But I don't think it's enough. Fantastic commitment there from Noob. And he is now side by side with Dutch. I don't think Dutch can do much here. Let's follow from the onboard of Northern. Yeah, Dutch has to let that one go. A move that had to be made from Noob. But look how much time Noob has lost to H-Ins. And honestly, I'm not exaggerating here. When you're on these soft tyres, every little thing that holds you up will ruin your race. Because once these tyres go, let me tell you, they go. You lose so much speed, so much time, and your car can really be in trouble. It comes to a point where you're almost on ice. Of course, they can also explode if you keep them going on too long. I don't think he'll get to the explosion point, but I think he could be heading towards an icy couple of last laps. Dookie with a 3-second pen for corner cutting multiple times. It's unfortunate. Innocent mistakes, of course. For those that don't follow F1 too much, or motorsport in general, you know, corner cutting is just where all 4 of your wheels cross the white line, the track limits. And often it doesn't really gain you much time, it's just a mistake. But the reason why the penalties are enforced is because if they weren't, you could purposely run wide, right? You could use that tarmac around the outside of the track to gain an advantage, to gain speed. As you see Camo succumb into the same fate. And see there, Dookie, he also just ran wide there. I think that might have been a track limits. You saw all 4 of his tyres just get across. Anyway, DRS now enabled, so we're going to now start to see a few more overtakes. Noob has closed back in to within 8 tenths on H-Ins, so fantastic driving from Noob. This is a great performance. Slightly misses the apex, but on those soft tyres, able to put his foot down, and look at that, 0.7 now. Should start creeping down. Although actually I take it back, his battery's flat, so he's messed up a little bit. Yeah, see that, so his battery's flat, which means he's going to lose tons of time. H-Ins though, perfect battery management from him, sensible driving. And now you'll see him flying down. Will he make a late move? I don't think he should. He chooses not to. He lives to fight another day. But if he can do that on the next lap, I expect H-Ins to be going into the podium positions. I think this is going to be a 4-way battle between Craig, H-Ins, Noob and Northern. I don't think Kev King and Vinny Sitz will be able to hold on. But the more they fight, the more I will be proved wrong. Because Kev King's got a 2.8 second lead. And he's keeping it super clean. This will be a fantastic win if he can pull this off. Vinny is in a lot more trouble though, absolutely. I do see, unfortunately, Vinny getting swallowed up by the 3 drivers behind. Once the car behind is in that DRS train, it is so tough to shake them off when you're on old tyres. It's a very painful experience. You know, mentally, you've really got to sort of stay resolute and try to almost ignore the facts, because the more you think about it, the more frustrating it can become. There's really nothing you can do. You can't box. You've got a 3-second penalty as well. It's just, yeah, you've just got to really try and keep your foot down, keep it clean, and just really hope the others make mistakes at this point. 6-0 win 3 tenths of Baba Yaga. Both, though, on fantastic strategies. Nice, fresh mediums. Catching up onto the back of Dutch 88 on very old, the oldest of all the hard tyres. He'll start to be feeling it now. This is where, again, he'll be getting a little bit frustrated, I imagine. Right, H-Ins, 7 tenths off Craig, who is now 3 tenths off Vinny. This is another fun sort of fact as well. So Craig closing in on the back of Vinny will protect H-Ins because it's like a DRS train, essentially, which means that Vinny won't get DRS, but Craig will. So because H-Ins and Craig both get DRS, that essentially means Craig can defend from that threat. And as you see, Craig doesn't go for the move. So Vinny with some good straight line speed, low downforce. And now and as I say that, Vinny runs straight into the wall, loses his entire front wing, and that is basically race over for Vinny. I expect him to finish last. What a shame. Excuse me. What a drive though up till then. It's so tough when you're at the front of that DRS train, as I say, when you're on old hard tyres, the mental fatigue can set in. It's just so tough. You have to ace every second of driving, every corner exit, just to stay ahead. He must have been feeling it a little bit there. Just a slight mistake. What a shame. Now Noob right on the back of H-Ins. H-Ins will not be happy about that, to be honest, because he's now lost the protection of the train. So H-Ins now has no DRS in front of him, which makes him very easy pickings for Noob, who I think just exceeded track limits. So he needs to be careful, because he already has a penalty, and if he gets one more, it's really going to ruin his race. In the meantime, let's take a look. Yeah, so everyone who has a pen has only a 3 second, except for Flying Grayson, who unfortunately is right at the back of the grid. He'll probably be joined by Vinny shortly. What a shame. Let's quickly see where Vinny does come out. Go, he hasn't pit yet. Okay, yeah, so Vinny will be going dead last. That is a real shame. Oh, Noob going into the pits! So his tyres must have died, and he's sped in the pits as well. Sorry, I've got something in my throat. A 5 second penalty there. So his tyres just didn't quite hold on. So I think going on to the mediums, it really did seem like the right move. But I really think it was amazing that he tried it. Fair play. But yeah, as we sort of said in the safety car up here, I think pretty much every car on the grid should have just gone on to mediums. That really is the way. At that sort of lap 11, 12 moment, you've got to just go onto those mediums, see it through to the end. It's so much more rapid than the hard tyres. Look at that. H-Ins makes easy work, honestly, of Craig. Not much skill in the move itself, just good strategy. Sensible, logical driving. However, Craig Dunn, is he going to go for a move? He might have to. No, he's going to back out of that one. But H-In's battery is absolutely shot. Had to use it all up to get past. And well done to Craig Inns, running it around the outside, trying to make it tough. He's got to do that. It's the only way he's going to get anything out of this race. What it does mean, though, is Kev King is getting that one step or one lap closer to a victory. I think a first ever, a maiden victory for Kev King at PRL. Right, I think I've fixed my throat. And H-Ins, yeah, he's going to have to try again. He's going to have to try again. And the bigger issue as well for him is, when he made the previous move, he used up so much battery, so he's now lost the battery advantage. So it's just getting more and more difficult. And also, the more laps you do on the mediums, the worse the time difference gets between the hard and the medium. So in other words, your tyre advantage, it gets reduced. So he needs to get the move done really next lap. Very good driving from Craig, doing everything he needs to do to hold on here. And both have not got any penalties. So definitely stay tuned for this. This is going to be a cracking end to the race, I reckon. I'm also monitoring Sync's Hero and Baba Yaga fighting it out for P5 with Camo just behind. H-Ins gets a fantastic exit off turn 1, and we're down into Eau Rouge. Lifts slightly, very cautious of the dirty air, does not want to wreck himself, especially after Japan. That was the right play though, because he's got an excellent speed out of Radion, and he is now cruising past Craig Dunn, both really trying to extract the most from their batteries. But nothing Craig can do. The DRS is just too powerful here. Some people say that's a good thing, some people say that's a bad thing, some people say it makes the racing more interesting, some people say it leads to artificial racing and the wrong sort of overtakes, and there's not enough driver skill. I mean, yeah, I'm always in two minds about it. You'll see some fantastic overtakes without DRS. I find the ones without DRS tend to look better. Oh, H-Ins runs wide through Puon, and Craig Dunn says thank you very much, that is my position, as Vinny Sip's race gets even worse with a 3 second time penalty for cutting corners. I think Vinny Sips got shafted at the previous race as well when he got rear wing damage with a really unlucky snap oversteer moment. So it's just not going well for Vinny Sips at the moment. Commiserations. Dutch now making his way up to the back of Sync's Hero. It's been a nice little race between sort of P5 all the way down to P9. This lot really keeping it clean and close on very different strategies. Look at that, look at the tyre life, so different. Let's make our way back up to H-Ins though. I do think this is going to be the crucial race, the crucial battle as we approach the end of this race. Oh, and H-Ins a slight moment but corrects it. And now will Northern get past? Yes, he does, indeed. Northern right at the back. H-In's tyres are okay, though. His tyres are okay. So now the race changes a little bit. And that's what we love about Spa. Things can change so quickly, and it really encourages racing. So now we've got Baba Yaga, who is on lovely, lovely medium tyres behind H-In's within DRS range. Look how many people just got penalties there. Insane. So drivers pushing to the limit and slightly cutting corners. Getting those 3-second penalties. They can absolutely ruin your race, I'll tell you. When I was newer to League One, F1 League racing, I used to get far too many penalties. Nowadays I rarely get them, but yeah, it's understandable, it does happen. Vinny Sips with the fastest lap on soft tyres. Baba Yaga unable to get past H-In's. H-In's unable to get past Northern. So honestly, Kev King has been saved by all of this. He's now got a 7-second gap after all of that fighting and all of those mistakes. Just kept it really clean, just kept his car on the tarmac. Don't need to do anything crazy, just be consistent and you will win races. That's what you're seeing here. Craig done with a fantastic defence multiple times against H-In's, and it looks like he's on track for a P2 unless anything goes wrong. Northern I don't think will be able to make up enough time and has a 3-second penalty. So it's looking like Northern is on track for a P5. And look at that, you know, we spoke about this before the race. Baba Yaga currently in P3 in the standings, despite not winning or getting I think any P2s. But he's so consistent, he just ekes out really good results race after race, and he's looking on track for a P4 here. So I think he will actually maintain P2 in the standings. It's a fantastic job for from Baba Yaga. Absolutely amazing. Let me just quickly check actually the Discord, the standings. Yeah, so Northern currently leading the standings, so Northern will extend his lead over Baba Yaga. So this is actually shaping in, sorry, I take it back. So Northern kind of will slightly lose a few points to Baba Yaga once the penalty's taken into account. But really Northern and Baba Yaga pulling away. But as for the constructors, Northern and H-In's, both the Aston Martin drivers, as you can see, absolutely smashing it this season. So it's looking like a bit of a runaway, to be honest, for the constructors. No one really able to make any moves. There's not a lot I can comment on. They've all just slightly run out of steam, slightly run out of traction, out of tyres. No one can quite get any moves done. I don't see anything changing, to be honest, unless there's a mistake. Dutch can't quite get past. Sinks, just unable. Look at the battery lives here. Everyone using every last drop, trying to maximise their race pace. But hats off to Kev King, now 7.5 seconds in the lead. Anyone else able to do anything? No, so I think as for the standings, yeah, it's, as I say, Northern and Baba Yaga are going to pull away a little bit. Well done to Northern, what a season he is having. Already a Tier 3 Constructors Champion, looking very likely to become a Tier 2 Champion, and who knows, it's only round 4 of I think 9, but currently doing everything in his power to get his first ever Drivers' Championship. And now, I know there's a penalty, but even so, you know, when you've got that sort of race pace over a season, regardless of the penalties, you know, the Drivers' Championship can come just from that. And actually, look at this. This is super tight. Well done, Kev King. Kind of missed that, but phenomenal drive. I'm paying attention to Northern, though, because look at the penalty difference. He might have just eked out 3 seconds over Baba Yaga, you know. Let's monitor it. Yeah, well done. So Northern with a P4 in the end. Salvages it. P4, P5 Baba Yaga, P6 Camo, Dookie 7th. Sinks here at 8th. Let's check the pens, though, before we call it. Oh, I think Vinny's spun. That's unfortunate. Right, so, okay, it's all set in stone. So Noob in 10th. King Goose in 11th. Flying Grayson may well lose a position to Scanlon here. That's why I'm sort of waiting a little bit. So Grayson in 12th. Yeah, but then Scanlon jumps in because of penalties. So Grayson 13th, and we're just waiting on Vinny, who's had a really unfortunate outing. A phenomenal qualifying session, great race pace. Just one mistake at the worst possible moment has cost him very dearly indeed. But he just will be rounding off the grid in 14th. The main thing is, though, he's finishing the race, and in PRL we award points for every driver who finishes. So he will be getting points, which is fantastic to see. Very quick driver, though. I think his season will only get better. Crosses the line, and that's your race. Some pretty cool action. The safety car caused a lot of different strategies. Baba Yaga, great performance, just reading the chat. P5 from P16. Well done indeed. You are the EA/Codemasters driver of the day. Who's my driver of the day? Mine is Baba Yaga as well. I think he was also my driver of the day last week. So on a bit of a hot streak there, Baba Yaga. And you will maintain second place in the standings, I believe. Wait, let me just confirm that. Let me just confirm. I'm going to put my racing head on, my maths head on. No, actually. So after this race, I believe, if my maths is correct, let me get this right. Northern will maintain. Yeah, Northern's going to maintain first place. Craig is actually going to jump Baba Yaga into second. And then Baba Yaga will just be slightly behind, a few points behind in third place. So you're still going to be in P3, mate. And well done to you. Tiger, unfortunately, with that DNF, is going to fall down a little bit. But anyway, let's run through this order. What a race we've had. So Kit of King, first place. First ever win in PRL. Hats off. Great points for McLaren as well. Absolutely love that. So P1 to him. Well done. P1 for the team. P1 for the Woking lads. Craig done second place. A very good drive. Good defensive driving. H-Ins rounds off the podium in P3. Northern in fourth in the sister Aston Martin. What a team performance. And a great recovery drive to avoid dropping to Baba Yaga, who unfortunately just missed out and takes P5. Camo P6. Dookie, again, another solid performance. I don't think I even mentioned his name more than a few times, but P7 for him. 6 Hero in 8th. Really good. Might be his best ever finish in PRL. Dutch P9. Noob P10. The soft tie didn't quite work out, but I loved the play. I mean, if he'd gone on the mediums, I reckon he would have got a better P4. King Goose 11, Scallon P12, Flying Grayson 13th. Vinny Sips with the unfortunate drive P14, but he was very quick. Fastest lap, which is cool. Chaos Druid P15 with the DNF, Corky as well, and Tiger, the last three, rounding off your grid and all DNFing, unfortunately. And I don't think I've had time to look at the race director because someone readied up. I think I might need to look at race director first in future. Hopefully someone else captured the incidents. But that was a fantastic race. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, please subscribe and please await the uploads onto YouTube, which should occur in the next couple of days. It's been great having you all with us today. Great turnout as always. And yeah, 7 days time you will be with, I think, myself again actually for the Tier 2 race as we go to round 5. And let me just tell you what round 5 is because I can't remember. Round 5 is Imola. A great track in Italy. So yeah, stay tuned. Get the meatballs, get the pasta ready, and join us. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.